Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday in our latest episode of Eating the Elephant. Eating the Elephant is a series that we started post-Michael, where we talk about hurricane recovery, we talk about insurance issues, and sort of how to navigate the system that is insurance in the post-Michael world. And we take this giant elephant that is recovery, and we try to eat it one bite at a time. I want to open with a conversation that I had over the weekend. I was grabbing some lunch on my way to run some errands and bumped into some folks I know who were really having a hard time. They're already represented by an attorney, so I'm not going to be involved in their claim, and I'm certainly not going to give you their names. But they were having a rough ride, and they described something that I wanted to sort of reiterate here. I think I've mentioned really only in passing in the past. And their insurance company is People's Trust Insurance. And People's Trust Insurance is one of the very, very few that utilizes what they call right to repair language in their insurance contracts. This is something I've talked about a little bit. I hate it. I hate it. What it does is it's almost like pre-signing an AOB to give to your insurance company, which is a little bit crazy if you think about it. You guys know my feelings on assignment of benefits, and I don't like them. And I was very happy to see the recent legislation to reform it. But what right to repair is that when your insurance company, when you report a claim to your insurance company, you don't have control of the repair process. What it means is your insurance company can actually bring in their own repair contractors and do the work in your house. They determine not only what needs to be done, but then they hire who does it. And I guess they're the ones that determine how much they're going to spend on it and whether it's done properly. I have to tell you, I find this an absolutely atrocious idea, and I certainly would never represent a company that took on a right to repair part of their contract, but it is out there. So you need to know, you need to understand a little bit about what it is. And I think you need to ask that question of your insurance agent when you're shopping for insurance next time around, if you are. And if you're not shopping, if you just want to know about the process now, just be really sure when you talk to your insurance agent that right to repair is not part of your conversation. I do think with the recent changes in assignment of benefits law in Florida, I think the right to repair language is going to go away. At least I very much hope it will. That was one of the results I was really hoping for out of this legislation. And I think insurance companies need to step up. I think it is their responsibility to respond to that legislation. Their premise has been that we need to fix the fraud and abuse. And if we're going to fix the fraud and abuse with this legislation, then we as an industry need to get away from the right to repair process. I am a firm believer that it's your home, it is your process, you need to hire the people that you're comfortable with. Essentially what's happened in this particular case, and Annette, I'm sure can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not going to give their last name, but she and her husband sat with me for a little bit. They essentially said that their home looks almost exactly like it did 2 days after the storm. What they did was they met the adjuster with People's Trust in the home, and he said, look, you can't touch anything. This is up to us to repair. The problem with that idea is, of course, no one could find a contractor immediately after the storm. It was very, very difficult to find anyone that was reputable, that was available, and that could do things in a cost-effective way. We've talked about the management triangle about good, fast, and cheap, and how if you were lucky you could get one of those three things. So frankly, the problem that I've got with the way it's going with their house is the adjuster stood there and told them they could not touch their home. They could not fix anything, and if they underwent any repairs whatsoever, that People's Trust was not going to pay anything for their claim. First of all, that's completely incorrect, and it's legally unsustainable, and I'm sure their attorney has told them that by now. But if they're saying that they can't repair their own home, but he can't bring in a team to do the repair work because everybody's too busy and he can't find anyone, well, obviously that puts a homeowner in handcuffs, and that's certainly absolutely 100% unfair. So I would say to those of you out there that do have right to repair contracts, perhaps if you've been given that language, the words right to repair by your insurance company, I would press them very, very hard on that. And if they're not bringing contractors to you very, very quickly, then I think you need to push back against that contract language or no. And I think you need to be in touch with either the Department of Insurance, Department of Financial Services in Tallahassee, or you need to be in touch with an attorney. I would skip the PA route. I would skip your agent at this point. I talk about how agents can help you. Public adjusters talk about how they can help you as well. But in this situation, I don't think either of us really can. I think, again, this is for a regulator or for an attorney to help you. I was pressed really hard this week on something. I've been doing this, we're 50 episodes in or so, and we've been doing this since sometime in October, November timeframe. And I had somebody that was a little bit cynical look at me and say, look, why are you doing Eating the Elephant? What's your point? What's your angle? What are you after? What are you trying to get out of this? It really pressing hard, and it's someone that I have a great deal of respect for, and they were very doubtful that I had altruistic motives, and I really genuinely do with this. I've got a face for radio, so it's obviously not that I wanted screen time, but my genuine approach to Eating the Elephant and to the things that I think I'm going to do after this are, I do really have genuine concern about my community. I've lived here a very long time. I've raised my kids here. I've got a business here. Our family's been here since 1950, since my grandfather got here after the war. And I have genuinely deep-seated affection and love for this community. I love Panama City. After college, I went away for a little while, but I came back because I love the place. And certainly we have our problems here, but I figure anything I do to speed this process up, to help people along, is going to benefit us all. Because the quicker our community comes back and gets to be what it needs to be, the better off we all are. And I'm a little too old to ride a chainsaw all day. I'm not a contractor. I can't put my ceilings back in, frankly, as a rule. I can't put a roof on, but I do know a little something about insurance and insurance processes, and that's what I'm trying to contribute to the public discussion here. And I would suggest to all of you that you have skills as well, and you may not think about them. You may be a medical professional. Those skills are pretty obvious. If you're an EMT, if you're a contractor, if you're a tree service, something like that, those skill sets are in obvious need right now. But every single business in this town just about is in need of help. Everybody in this town that has a claim, frankly, probably needs some help. There are people in genuine distress, and maybe you don't know how to navigate an insurance policy, or you don't know the legal language of something. Maybe you can't climb up on a roof and re-roof somebody's house. But maybe you can go to an elderly neighbor and see if there's something that you can do to help them. Maybe you can just help them clean up their yard. Maybe you can just pay them a little attention and make them feel better. Maybe you can run them to the grocery store. We all have energies, we all have skill sets, and while I know that everyone has been tired, I think for a lot of us the exhaustion period is over, and some of us are beginning to get our feet back under us a little bit better. And if you're one of those people that's got your feet back under you, contribute something to someone else. Contribute something to your neighbors, to the people around you that may need a skill that you don't even realize you have. And maybe it's just as much as a shoulder to lean on. So I would say, look deep within yourself, look at your skill set, and see what you can do. Having said that, when you do that, you're probably going to get some criticism. I was told just this week that there's some public adjusting firm at the beach that put out a 20-minute video this week, apparently going after me a little bit. And so you do have to realize if you're going to get out front, you might catch a little heat. But don't let that stop you. Don't let that deter you at all. I will say this, the video that was pointed out to me, I didn't watch the whole thing because it's 20 minutes of somebody barking about me apparently, and I didn't hear my name. I listened to a little bit of it, about a minute's worth, just to see what the flavor was, and my name wasn't mentioned, so I don't know if it's about me or not. But it did talk about the idea that if agents, or if anyone in general, is not pro-PA, then they are not pro-policyholder. If you are against public adjusters, which obviously in many cases I am, that you are against your policyholders. I have to tell you, obviously I disagree with that, and I've spent an awful lot of time trying to help our clients and to help other people who I don't even know, who probably will never be my client. If you believe what is said on that video, I would encourage you to watch it. Like I said, I'm not going to because I've got better things to do. But I do encourage all of you to get different points of view. Look at different sides of this debate about how we recover from this storm. And what I would say to you is, look at that side. It's clearly critical of me, but I think you ought to look at that. And if you truly believe the general premise, as I understand it, that agents that don't like PAs are against you, or that agents can't help you or are not effective in assisting you with your insurance or your insurance claim, then I've talked before about finding a new agent. I think if you believe the premise that your agent's not going to be helpful, you shouldn't have one. You can probably go online or on an 800 number, do your own homework, and you could probably save a little bit of money. Maybe not a bunch, but if your belief is that your agent is getting in your way as opposed to being an advocate or a helpmate for you, then you need to push them out of the picture. I really believe that. And so I would encourage you to do some research, and to further that idea, whenever you get an opinion, particularly on social media, Facebook being our platform here, always try to verify what's been said. A lot of people, including myself, we get out there with very strong opinions and we think we back them up well. Make sure they're well sourced, and make sure that once you get someone's opinion, you actively seek out an opposing opinion so you can see what that looks like. Once you've done that, trust your instincts. See who you think is the more credible person or the more credible source of information, and follow that source. Maybe follow up and don't just leave it there, and continue to do your research as you move along. But again, including everything I say, don't simply take what I say as some sort of gospel. Actively seek out points of view in opposition. And then that way you can get some sort of balance as to what things are, because I certainly have my own biases, and the people on the other sides of these arguments have their own biases as well. And if you can balance them out, I think you'll have a much better result. I wanted to mention one more thing that's come up again and again, and I thought we'd covered it, but I wanted to say it one more time. We talk about open versus closed claims. And a lot of people are in distress because they've seen the statistic that 87% of claims are closed after Hurricane Michael. I have to tell you, it's a grossly misleading statistic that's been put out by the Department of Financial Services. And I don't blame them for it. I blame the mechanism by which this report has been designed, because really all you can do with a claim when you're reporting it to the Department of Insurance or Department of Financial Services is flick a switch, either on or off. This claim is either open or closed. And frankly, that just doesn't tell the whole story. Most closed claims will be reopened. A closed claim means almost nothing. With 2 or 3 mouse clicks on the other side at the insurance company level, a closed claim becomes reopened. And you've got months and months and months to reopen a claim should you need to. We're working right now with advance money on our house that was paid to us, and we're negotiating with our lender like everyone else is. And frankly, when we get through all that money, I still don't think we're going to be done. And I'm going to have no hesitation whatsoever in going back to my insurance company and saying, hey, you paid me X amount of dollars, and what it cost me was X plus $10,000. So here's all the bills, here's all the money I've paid, send me another check, please. And I would expect that in short order I'll get that money, and if I don't, I'm going to squawk like crazy, as should you. I am going to take the advice I've been given, of course, which is educate, escalate, advocate, and mediate. I'm going to advocate for myself as I have been. I've educated myself a little bit more about the process. You've certainly learned some things, and certainly I've been in this business more than 25 years, and I've learned quite a bit since the storm. But if I need to go to mediation, I will. I can't imagine that will happen. But what I want to do, what I want to close with today, is to reassure you, as you're getting toward the end of your process or into the meat of the process, whichever it would happen to be, if you realize you're going to come up short of money, I don't want you to think that this is the end of the line. You need to keep very careful records, and you need to be assured that you get all of the money that you're entitled to. And if it looks like you're going to come up short, discuss that with your adjuster. And if you get any pushback from that adjuster about how that's all the money you're going to get, then you need to advocate for yourself. The things that I've talked about, you need to ask for a supervisor. You need to engage your agent. You need to talk to the Department of Financial Services in Tallahassee if necessary. If it's absolutely needed, you can go to mediation, you can go to appraisal, you can go to an attorney. I think those are a little bit down the road, because my particular concern with an attorney now is, while that may be the only appropriate option for some folks, you need to be aware that we may be 2 or 3 years out from resolution if you're at a point where you have to hire an attorney now. The court system obviously has gotten clogged up. Panama City News Herald had an article about that in the last couple of weeks. But what I would say is the legal process moves very, very slowly. And a lot of us really don't have 2 or 3 years to work our way through that process. So if there's a way you can avoid that kind of delay by being educated and advocating effectively for yourself, or with our help if you need it, then I think that's probably the way to go. if you're short of money, don't think it's the end. That's the closing idea that I want to leave you with. We're going to leave it there. I hope you've had a great time this weekend. It's been a beautiful weekend. I hope everyone pays attention to the fact that we've got a number of things. You're going to have a holiday coming up. We'll have a 3-day weekend. It's going to be great. It's supposed to be pretty, is my understanding. So everybody, get outside, enjoy the spring, everything coming back to the green, and then we'll be back to see you on Wednesday as usual. Have a good week.